Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Iqbal Rifa'i Syahputra from Management Regular Class 2017, University of Lampung. I want to read about article The Ancient History of Bitcoin. In the 1020, a Florida citrus grower named William Howey hit on a way to raise money from investors. He would sell them strips of land in his groves and tend the trees on their behalf, giving them a share of the profit after the harvest. The transaction was present as an ordinary sale of real estate, but for practical purpose, the buyers had become shareholders in his farm. After Howey died in 1938, the then new U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission sought an injunction against his company to stop the sales. In 1946, the Supreme Court ruled that Howey's contracts should have been registered with the SEC as securities, essentially shares of stock. The court said that what matters is the substance of a transaction, not its form. If it waddles like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. Keep that wisdom in mind the next time some bluffer tries to dazzle you with a complicated story about cryptocurrencies. When it comes to understanding new technologies, focus on what they do, not how they do it. Governments and policymakers, like investors, have struggled to wrap their minds around cryptocurrencies. The gyrations of Bitcoin and the like can cause speculators to make and lose fortunes. I don't really see what the actual true underlying value of some of these cryptocurrencies actually is in practice. Federal Reserve Bank of New York President William Dudley said on February 22. A member of the European Central Bank's executive board liked them in a February 8 speech to the Will o' the Wisp, a malignant creature that dwelt in marshes, and lured travelers to their ultimately death and a watery grave. This is when history can be argued. Cryptographic money may be new, but money itself is as old as civilization. It's taken the form of beads, barley, tobacco, cowrie shells, and even giant stone discs like the Great Ray of Yap in the South Pacific. Experience with other kinds of money hints that the volatility in the value of cryptocurrencies may be incurable, something that could be a fatal flaw for their use as a medium of exchange. Jesus Fernandez Villaverde, an economist at the University of Pennsylvania, calls himself a cryptocurrency skeptic. He argues that today's profusions of the exotically named tokens, more than 1,500, have been issued, resembles the 19th century heyday of free banking, when commercial banks issued their own private label monies in the many countries, including Australia, Sweden, Swiss, the UK, and the US. In Scotland, the era of free banking lasted for more than a century until it was suppressed by the British Parliament in 1845. During the time, Scotland went from poor to nearly as rich as England. There's one crucial difference between then and now, Tauk Fernandez Villaverde says, and it has nothing to do with high-speed computing. The difference is that the supply of the currency could be managed. Scottish banks had a strong incentive to build public confidence in the stability of their currencies, and they calibrate their supply to demand. In contrast, the libertarian appeal of cryptocurrencies is that they can be controlled by anybody, even their issuers. There is nothing and no one to answer their value. True, there's a cap on the number of Bitcoin that can ever be produced, which is supposed to protect it from hyperinflation. But the chaotic ups and downs in price show that it's vulnerable to speculative inflation and deflation. Another illuminating precedent for cryptocurrencies is the famous two economy story of the Capitol Hill Babysitting Cooperative, which was founded in the late 1950. Members pay older parents to take care of their kids using private money that they earn by taking care of other people's kids. That's similar to the way miners create and earn Bitcoin by using computers. The co-op nearly fell apart in the 1970 because families were hoarding script to make sure they could afford a babysitter when they need one. It was revived when the co-op print more script to take away the incentive to hoard. Cryptocurrencies are equally vulnerable to market failure, but there's no scope for a beneficial intervention to match supply and demand, as there is with an ordinary currency managed by a competent central bank, says Fernandez Villafer. So far, this has been about cryptocurrencies as money, but a lot of the tokens aren't intended to be used as alternatives to dollars, euro, or yen. They have narrower functions for special purpose digital companies. People who buy them are betting that the issuing companies will succeed. In other words, as in the case of William Howes Orange Groves, buyers are effectively acquiring a piece of a business. Since its substance rather than from form that matters, it would seem that this initial coin offering should be registered as securities and regulated accordingly. CEC Chairman J. Clayton argued just that last year, citing the Supreme Court case. Simply calling something a currency or a currency-based product does not mean that it is not a security. He wrote in a statement of his personal beliefs on December 11. A romantic view persists in some psychers that cryptocurrencies are the vanguard of a new era in which governments become less and less important. Legislatures unnecessary. Courts, why bother record on the block? Why bother with them when every contract can be indelibly recorded on the blockchain, the digital ledger that makes cryptocurrencies possible? Well, sure, except people have been trying to create an unimpeachable record pretty much forever, with limited success. As early as 2340 BC, the king of Iqbal in modern-day Syria sent a diplomatic letter to the king of Hamazi that was like a blockchain, according to a 2017 article in Ledger, a journal devoted to cryptocurrency research by Chris Berg, a postdoctoral fellow at RMIT University in Melbourne. Writes Berg, both blockchain protocols and diplomatic protocols raise the cost of opportunistic behavior through a combination of a permanent record of past dealings, public and ritualistic verification of transactions, and game-theoretic mechanism of reciprocity. Maybe blockchain really is a foolproof record of transaction and promise, as its supporters contend. But experience has taught us that it's impossible to make anything foolproof because fools are so ingenious, as are crooks, and no matter how strong a contract you can write, people will find a way to renegotiate. There's even a term, hard fork, for what crypto types do to fix a problem when the system that supposedly on autopilot doesn't evolve the way they think it should because of a programming error, a hack, or someone's change of mind. With apologies to the libertarians and anarchists, the best hope for cryptocurrencies is strong regulation that creates public confidence by weeding out crooks and poseurs. In 1970, the economist Georg Akerlof published a paper called The Market for Lemons that explained how the market for used cars breaks down if people can't tell which cars are clunkers. Afraid of being cheated, they won't pay very much, so sellers of good cars will withdraw them from the market, leaving only lemons on the lot. Regulation is thus in the interest of legit used car dealers and legit cryptocurrency issuers as well. To quote Ecclesiastes, there is nothing new under the sun. Peter Choi with Meadow Lacing and Olga Kharif. Sekian dari saya. Thank you for watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.